Hi guys, this is Zach from Watches on You. This watch is finally here, the Omega Seamaster Chronograph 44mm. So this watch was released at Baselworld last year, and they are only just coming in to retailers of Omega. I'm not exactly sure why it took them so long, but they are finally here, and now I'm going to give my opinions on this timepiece. So this watch was very anticipated because the original diver, or I guess not original, the new standard diver, non-chronograph version of this came out 2 years ago, so everyone knew that they were probably going to be updating the chronograph sometime soon. And then this came out at Baselworld of last year. Got a lot of attention when it came out because everyone wanted to see the new diver chronograph, and it just took Omega a lot of time to get this watch out. Apparently that was partly due to the high demand for the non-chrono model. They were really focusing production on that, but no one really knows exactly why this one is only coming out now. But again, here it is, so let's take a look at it. So this watch comes in with a very large size. So it's going to be a 44mm case. It's going to have quite a lot of thickness. You can see it's very thick right there as well. You actually have ceramic chronograph pushers, which I think are very interesting, and I've never seen it on another timepiece. And I think that they match the blue dial very cool. You can see when you look at it face up, they match perfectly, obviously, with the blue ceramic bezel. Much more interesting look, and again, you're not going to have to worry about scratching those whatsoever because they're ceramic, so it adds a little bit of a, I guess, protection against scratching on your chronograph pushers. And then on the other side, you have the classic manual helium escape valve, the toothpaste cap helium escape valve, as many people call it, due to its shape. It's kind of got a trapezoidal shape, as you can see there. You just unscrew it when you need to, when you're saturation diving, or when you're in the diving bell, not when you're actually doing the diving, and then it will allow gas to escape so that the crystal is not popped off. Now again, how many people are really saturation diving? Very, very few. Really, none of us are going to be doing that. There are some divers out there that do, but it's a very specialized field of diving. So yes, it's nice that the watch can do it, but it's not necessarily going to be applicable to most people, and it's more kind of there just to be, I guess, cool, and you can kind of talk about it. So again, so this case in total is going to be quite large, coming in again at that 44mm case size. It's got a lot of heft to it, especially on the bracelet. The thickness is quite big, so this isn't necessarily a watch for the office. This is a hardcore sports watch and a hardcore dive watch. So that is definitely something to take in consideration when looking at purchasing this timepiece. But now let's go to the bracelet. So the bracelet on this is stainless steel, obviously, and then you see it as the classic Seamaster bracelet style, where you have the thin polished links in the bracelet, and then the rest is brushed. So very classic design. It keeps that flatter style and sharper edge style versus some of the older vintage models, or not quite vintage, I guess, the previous models before these new lines of Seamaster. You also do get a quick adjust. You just push down there, and then you can quick adjust it. It does have a diver's extension as well. If you just pop it down there, you have a diver's extension that'll pop out to get it over your wetsuit. So now let's close that up. The clasp is solid milled out clasp, very high quality, no problems with it whatsoever. It's just standard push button, which I really like. Very easy to operate. Again, shouldn't give you any problems whatsoever, and it's not really going to come off on accident either. You have to get both buttons pressed down, and they have enough tension in them, I feel like, so that way you're never going to have to worry about these accidentally coming off. So here, now let's go to the dial, the bezel, and the movement. So the dial, as you can see, is ceramic along with the bezel. So that just makes it so the tones match absolutely perfectly, and it gives the dial a nice gloss to it. And then having that ceramic bezel is obviously going to give you a lot of scratch resistance, so you're never going to have to worry about really scratching your bezel whatsoever. Now, again, if you do drop ceramic watches with ceramic on them, ceramic is very prone to chipping, so you might have to worry about hitting it on something. But again, every day-to-day life, you're really not going to see a problem with this bezel whatsoever, and it's going to be very nice because 5 years down the line, it's going to look brand new still. Now you have a nice loom pip up at 12 o'clock, so you can easily find the starting position on the bezel. And then it is a 120 click bezel, locks down very nicely, no wiggle really at all. It's a nice clicky action. And it feels nice and solid. Don't really have any reservations about this bezel, and I think that you're going to find that it will serve you just fine in your diving needs. So now let's go to the movement. So the movement is going to be an in-house Omega movement. It's a coaxial movement. It's got a column wheel chronograph operation. It's the Omega 9900. You can see it through the sapphire case back on the back, which I really like. And you can see it has the nice spiral Côte de Genève that is typical on all Omega movements. It is a master coaxial movement, so that gets you a magnetic resistance of up to 15,000 Gauss, where you really never have to worry about magnetizing this timepiece whatsoever. You also do get a 60-hour power reserve, which is great. That's almost 3 days. So really no problems with that whatsoever, and I think that's going to serve you just fine. You'll easily be able to leave this, I guess, off over a weekend or just a few days, and then you should be able to pick it up and it will still be running and not have to worry about resetting it. So great movement, no problems whatsoever. It's going to, again, you won't have to worry about magnetizing it or anything. The accuracy is going to be great since it's a certified chronometer. And it uses Omega's proprietary METAS certification, METAS, which just holds it to a bit higher standards than the typical COSC rated chronometers. So now let's test the action. So the action is great. The pushers feel fantastic when you push them down. Nice click to them, very satisfying to use. That column wheel operation just makes it feel much nicer than a typical cam chronograph. The click is just more satisfying, and it just is a very nice feeling watch. So now we can stop it, and then I'll reset it with the bottom. Again, very nice action, no problems with it whatsoever. Oh, and I didn't mention you also do get a date down at 6 o'clock, which I really like as well, as that keeps the symmetry of the dial. So now let's move on to a wrist shot. So on the wrist, this watch, again, it's going to be quite large. Being at 44 millimeters, I have about a 7.5 or 7.25 to 7.5 inch wrist, roughly, and it is quite large. It's going to be quite thick as well. This is probably not a watch to wear with a suit. I mean, I wouldn't, because it is so large, but this is a nice sports watch. If you have a larger size wrist, this will fit you just fine. If you have a smaller wrist, this may not be the watch for you because it is large. It would have been nice, I would say, if they kept this at about a 42 millimeter. I just think that would have been a very nice size for this timepiece, but 44 isn't bad either. If you're a professional diver, you'll probably appreciate the added size for visibility. But if you're just wearing it as a daily wear watch, that's definitely something to take into consideration. Other than that, though, it is very comfortable. It feels very nice on the wrist. Other than its heft, the comfort is very nice. The bracelet doesn't grab your wrist really at all. Feels nice. The clasp is fantastic. Again, no problems whatsoever. And that micro adjust is also just going to be very nice for if you ever have to adjust this throughout the day, or just getting it to fit your wrist at that just perfect size so that it's most comfortable. So this watch is going to come in at a price of $7,450. Now, that is about online with Omega's other in-house chronograph models, and I think that price is just about right. When you compare that with with watches from other brands, such as Breitling, you can even maybe compare it to just the Rolex Daytona, which I know that's a lot more expensive of a timepiece. I think that it fits in just quite nicely into the price range. The movement is very well done, no problems with there whatsoever, and it's just the case and everything. It's a very well finished timepiece, and I don't think that you're really going to be getting a huge amount better value from any other watch brands. Just having in-house chrono movements, you don't see that generally too often on a lot of the lower end watches. The only one I can maybe really think of is if you're getting a Tag Heuer chronograph, but I would say that this is definitely much higher quality than Tag Heuer timepieces, as Omega typically has been. So let me know what you guys think about this watch in the comments. I think it's great to see Omega to update the new chronograph model, and I'm happy with a lot of things that they did with this timepiece. Again, let me know what you guys think. I'd like to mention that this watch was lent to us by Continental Diamond in St. Louis Park, Minnesota for the purpose of this review, and I will be leaving a link in the description to their website if you'd like to inquire about purchasing this or any of their other timepieces. Again, thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.